Oh, shift! You're listening to the O Shift podcast.
When something big like AI is coming, we need to reset. We need to reset culture. We need to reset strategy. We need to reset how we build products. Authenticity in general in today's world is like a superpower. I feel that not many people are really authentic. And when you think about like agents and LLM, how do you get an agent to trust a brand? We are lucky to lead the biggest transformation of our lifetime.
Welcome to the O Shift podcast, where AI meets SaaS leaders. The show is about how real software and e-commerce leaders are making the shift to AI and the ups and downs in that process. I am pleased to be joined here with a legend in e-commerce, Tagrin, co-founder of Yotpo. Platform is obviously known for UGC, reviews, loyalty, and more. That power growth for a direct consumer and like any omni-channel brand. And so we hope to get under the covers. First of all, thanks for joining us here at
our offices. Thank you for having us, by the way. Big fan of your voice. I heard you and like your I think important voice in e-commerce. So thank you very much. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you here. I think from anyone on the outside, not in the Yotpo day-to-day, it must seem normal for you to change so much so quickly. And then from the outside, we see your post, you're like, we're resetting everything. You know, almost like I kind of go back to the pandemic for Toby, who's like, we're going to delete our roadmap. We're going to reset everything. Does it feel that way to you in the last couple of years? And like, how do you think about how Yotpo has changed?
Probably for Toby, everything is planned. He has like his crystal ball, so definitely not Toby. But yes, I think that's like the entrepreneur side of me. I think like definitely when something big like AI is coming, the only way to make sure that companies like Yotpo that were like pre-AI, we need to reset. We need to reset culture. We need to reset strategy. We need to reset how we build products. And that's what we've been trying to do. And I think just, life is too short not to try to go after opportunities that you strongly believe can make a difference. And that also means to have like a lot of humility and say where we were wrong and where we need to adopt and where we need to change in order to be again a company of tomorrow. So definitely like a very, a hell of a ride. And not everything is planned, doing a lot of mistakes, doing some things right. But I can tell you always Yotpo, at least as long as I'm here, and since I've been here, will be a company that will always be willing to change versus like reality in the future. Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I like how you laid it out where it's like culture, strategy, how you build product. I'm assuming like go to market as well. Yes. I think that's a great format for us. Like, let's take those one by one. Culture, like pre-AI culture, post-AI culture. Is it different? Is it the same? I imagine there's some.
Yeah, there is, like I don't think AI, like people are people.
Yeah.
And people problems are usually like the toughest problems. I do think probably in the companies of the future, you need less people. Like you have much more automation. We now have like teams that are building agents from go-to-market to billing. Definitely engineering is like a huge part to use like a lot of like, I think in general, the job of an engineer is changing dramatically. And I also think in culture for us was, I also think Yotpo, and again, very openly, was a company, that got too big. There was COVID, that was the zero interest rate. I think like us coming back to the offices, coming back to more like startup mode, if you want, or founder mode of something, I'll call it. I think for us, it's been like really, really crucial to really transform. I can tell you for me, I'll touch on maybe the biggest transformation is culture and how we build products, because I think that's what matters the most. And it's also, I need to change, our leadership needs to change. It's a lot, but I think that's what's, at least for me, what's getting me excited, that we build a culture that on one hand is like humble enough to understand where we made mistakes and have the courage to actually make the changes. And not just like cruise very slowly and very easily because we already like a quote unquote a big company, although we're not.
Yeah. You're like a big, small company, which is actually, somewhat of a dangerous place to be because
100%.
If you look clearly there are bigger companies in the world.
Yes, 100%. I think in general, we are lucky. That's what I told my leadership, that we are lucky to lead a business in my eyes, the biggest transformation of our lifetime. So it's no one knows, no one has a playbook, and we just need to be, again, as humble, as close to the customers, as close to the technology as we can.
Yeah. And so I guess in terms of the customers, you built some new products. Some of them you're spinning out into new ones. Some of them you gave to partners ostensibly. And so the strategy has shifted.
Yes.
Not just because of AI, but I think post-COVID, you mentioned
100%.
I can't think of a SaaS company that didn't do, let's be honest, multiple rounds of layoffs post-COVID. Period. The end. That's just the truth. And so the strategy of the company is a little bit different, being leaner, more focused. Is that sort of part of it?
Yeah, definitely. You see that we weren't able to execute on multiple products. We had email and SMS that eventually we decided to sell to partners, but we weren't able to execute on one. There were a few forces happening simultaneously. One, we couldn't execute at the level we wanted. And I think we couldn't execute it not on email and SMS at the level we wanted. And that also affected our reviews and loyalty business, which is the core where Yotpo is truly best in class.
Right.
I think, so that's one force. Second force is AI, in a sense that we really think that AI is changing reviews. You're going to see Yotpo continue developing more and more capabilities, because people are the way they write reviews, the way they consume reviews, the importance of reviews in an AI first world where everything is fake, right?
Right.
What does authenticity means? I think loyalty, we've seen a lot of success from bigger and bigger merchants and really going all in on omni-channel. Definitely when tariffs started to be introduced, loyalty is becoming more and more top of mind. And lastly, AI and agentic commerce, let's call it, because I do think the fact that users are already doing the discovery on LLMs and with the recent ChatGPT and Google's protocol.
It's insane. What's happening now?
I don't know if it's going to be 30%. I don't think the storefront is going to disappear, but I don't know if it's going to be 10%, 30%, but definitely it's not going to be 0.5% of commerce is going to move to LLMs. And that's a massive opportunity and a massive challenge to brands. And I think what we found is that our, at least investment or our return on investment can be much more impactful on let's call it new markets and new opportunities versus try to innovate existing markets that we tried and weren't that successful at it.
Right. You said a key word in there, which is authenticity.
Yeah.
And I think from Yotpo itself admitting that this is where we're going to succeed, this is where we're not going to succeed. How did you come to those decisions?
Yeah, so again, I had a few health issues, and when I came back to the company, it was very clear that we need to change. And I changed as a human being. And I said, we're stopping. That was almost 3 years ago, where we really started what we call Yotpo 2.0, a shift in everything. Part of that's being even founder-led, much more on social, which I'm still not that comfortable doing. But
You're doing a great job, for the record.
Thank you. But because I think it's important to put the people out there, because eventually we are people, we're trying to do our best. So authenticity for us as a company has been always uber important. I also think authenticity in general in today's world is a superpower. I feel that not many people are really authentic about whatever. So we really try to actually be that company the most authentic we can, where we get things right, where we get things wrong. And I think definitely in our product reviews, right? It's how do we bring authenticity in when you think about agents and LLM? How do you get an agent to trust a brand? To trust, I don't know, if I say that my brand has whatever the best running shoes for men above 50 with flat feet, why? Why should the
Isn't everyone saying the same thing?
Yes, exactly. And one thing that doesn't lie is what customers are saying on scale. So then we ask ourselves, how do we can leverage Gen AI and LLMs to actually increase authenticity, write more quality content and distribute that content, but always make sure that the content is very authenticated.
Yeah. No, I think it makes sense, because I think there are so many people who I think are underestimating. Let's say this is the next gold rush, and even it's going to be 25% of traffic. Let's just use that as a number. How many people are trying to spam this thing?
Endless. Endless. And how many agents?
Billions of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really endless because every company have like even an army of agents
Right.
that are trying to do that. It's like endless.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about the agents.
Yes, think about it. It's like crazy. So we actually spend a lot of time thinking about it, how we can help brands like really be unique and authentic, because I don't think it's an easy task. And there's another thing is that, there's two worries on LLMs. One is like how to be discoverable on LLMs. And second is how do I control what LLM is saying about me? That's like a big one.
Right.
And that's required two things. Again, context. And how do you give the LLM context about your product, context about your brand?
Right.
And second is trust. Why should the LLM trust whatever you say? So that's how we think, like that's at least the mental framework we're thinking about, how we can help brands both with context and with trust.
Yeah. I mean, context and trust, I think there's two super important words. And I think they're also important for the transformation of Yotpo itself.
100%.
Just in terms of you coming back, resetting, the direction. What did you tell your team about like the trust factor in like, we're going to make it, team?
Yeah. So I don't think I said we're going to make it. I said, look, this is where we did like a very deep process together of a SWOT analysis of saying, okay, where we got things wrong. And collectively, we agreed on them. It wasn't like easy discussions.
Right.
Then we said, okay, if that's the case, where we need to change. And this is our new plan. And I think this is why for certain people, it was just too much. That's also fine. And part of that process was also saying goodbye to many people that been like a long time with us. But I think in general, like, trust is where trust is built in it's like when you're truly vulnerable, when you're truly like authentic, right? And I think that's what I at least try to bring, that I think Yotpo was a company that grew too fast. We were like probably chasing short-term growth and basically compromising long-term growth for short-term growth. And we wanted like to turn it around and say, you know what, we rather like compromise short-term growth for long-term growth. We want to build like a profitable growing business.
Right.
And that's like really long-term how we think about it on scale.
Right.
And it takes like, again,
takes time.
And it also takes like really being authentic about it. So I think people, once they connected to and they saw how we are really, understand the challenges and B, truly willingness to change. Like I'll give you an example on product. In 2 weeks, we have, I don't know if you know Marty Keegan. He's like the Messi of product. So I read his book, Transformed. And I'm like reading the book and I couldn't lay down. It was like he was writing a book about Yotpo. So I basically spammed him and I tried to get on the phone with him, was able to get on the phone with him and basically told him like, help me. And he started like, he also brought like another coach and he started like being like the Yotpo coach and he's coming to Israel to do like a workshop. We are flying everyone from all across the world to really do a workshop of like transforming how Yotpo builds products. So part of it is also like, okay, how do we bring outside help from the best in the world that can help us with like, how do we build differently product? Because there's so much opportunity to really change the Yotpo existing product, but also like a new world again with AI that if we'll be like the best product company, like that's it. Like that's what I want to happen. I don't know like what's going to be the business outcome. I know, but I'm pretty sure that if we'll do that, like all the ducks will align. And I think, by the way, Toby and Shopify is a great North Star to that. Like, so fanatic on products.
Yeah. So I think that's a great transition into kind of your next pillar that you talked about, AI transforming, which is like, how do you build product? Like, let's talk about some of the dimensions from like user feedback to requirements to prototyping to shipping to iteration. Like, break that down for me and like where do you see AI cutting across those areas?
So in general, AI can do like it can, when you think about what LLM can do from a product development standpoint, there are certain things it can really speed up and there are certain things it can't. So first, like just code generation. Like I think writing code today is not a job anymore. Like you have agents that can do that. And an engineer or an architect now.
That's a big statement.
It is.
Writing code, not a job.
Yeah, I don't think it's, maybe today it still is, but it won't be a job. Like if that's your entire job, you just get very, let's call it tight and great PRDs and you just need to write the code. I don't think that you'll have like a lot of room. I think like the job of an engineer, of an architect, like it's going to be like a squad, right? There's the designer, that the designer, she or he is supposed to write like the best design and design system, how to use the product.
Right.
There's the PM that needs to write the best PLD that can say, okay, what the product should do and the value it should give to the customer. And the engineer or the architect to say, like, what's the best architecture and design from an engineering design to build this capability, and then let the agents run, build probably 80-90% and do some code reviews or testing and all of that. So I think the craftsmanship of product is changing. Like, I'll give you a few examples on Yotpo. We are heavy users of Cursor. So the amount of code in production that was accepted or written by AI, if a designer can finish with Figma Make and actually build it directly into the design system and front-end code, those type, or how do like if you want to analyze customer feedback on scale, let's say you want to take all the calls of the CSM that they're doing, and I want to send how many times this feature came up and stuff like that. Really, really, really easy.
Right.
I think, so that's the thing that really changing the craftsmanship. There's a joke like that, that AI won't replace you, but people leveraging AI will replace you.
Right.
So you need to like really, really know how to use the technology. Then you have things that like customer interview or prototyping is a great example, right? Today, prototyping is like maybe the easiest use case in the world. Now the question is, okay, how do you do user research? How do you make sure that you're building something that really adds value? And there's a great book called like Good Strategy, Bad Strategy that basically says that if I need to like dumb it down and connect it to AI really quickly, like in a world, let's say AI software is not a moat anymore and it's really easy to build everything. How do you make sure that you are ahead? Is just keep on building and always like more value and fall in love with like the problem again and again and again and again and again. And let's say, okay, I'll give you an example for us. Two concrete examples. One is like loyalty. So loyalty, there's a big question, right? Did you buy because of the loyalty program, or would you buy regardless of the causality?
Are you incenting the wrong behavior?
Exactly. Incrementality is a really tough problem to solve. And I don't think, yes, we have certain brands that I can actually show you that. And there are certain brands, it's still questionable. Right. And I think no one has really solved that. So we are actively working on things and that comes from analytics to capabilities to show true incrementality. In reviews, it's a different thing. In reviews, it's like, okay, so in the beginning, it was like, let's get the most reviews. But you know what? In an agent first world, getting reviews like great product or loved it, it's valuable. But it's not
so useful.
Exactly. So how do you generate quality content and how you know what quality is and which topics? These things are things that like we go deep on because we think they are going to be very important. Besides that, we also have a team that's working like on a new product that's like really geared towards like agentic commerce in a world where like agents again are driving not a small portion of sale. How we can help brands in that world, and that's something like I'm very excited about. That's going to be launched in the next few months.
Yeah, I mean I think it's super exciting because if you think about sort of the two pillars of Yotpo, kind of reviews and loyalty, one is very easy to get into an LLM and represent. The other seems much harder.
Yes.
Because the other is very tied up into why is someone a fan of a brand?
Yes.
And what keeps them coming back? It's almost like...
Yes, I think that's the place where we try to leverage our data. And because we're looking at, I don't know, like 350, 400 million loyalty members, how the AI can give you a recommendation on what worked across our customer base. Because loyalty, it's a lot of like experimentation, trial and error. It's like it's a breathing organism. It's not set it and forget it. So I think that's at least where we're trying to take it. And we have some ideas that now we're going to experiment on like, let's call it agent first, and how do you get to a world of like one-to-one loyalty, which may be like the end state, but we're definitely not there yet.
Yeah. Diving into your tools, you mentioned Cursor. There's a big one. I'm guessing OpenAI is another big one. But like, what are some of the tools that you love that, maybe everyone hasn't, maybe if you really are in the know, you know them all, but I'm sure.
Yeah. So I think like, you have, all the, from an engineering standpoint, really depends on your flavor, but I don't care if it's Cursor, Claude Code, Versa, like it doesn't really matter. Like I think code assistant is really, really important. Like, when we were doing like engineering interview, you used to ask like, which language do you write code? I think today is like, which code assistant do you use?
Yeah.
And then you have all the Figma makes and the Lavables of the world to really create like mockups and all of that. And I do think, I don't know, in go-to-market, we also have a team, by the way, in go-to-market that is like product and engineers. to really trying to engineer the go-to-market to use more with AI. So some of it is like internal build. Some of it are things like we use Clay. We're starting to use Clay from a go-to-market standpoint for enrichment and all of that. In support, we built our own system, but we're using a model called Quark AI to help with deflection. So we try to build and we try to leverage. I hope that in the next 3 years, many of our software spend will move towards like tailor-made agents. We actually have like a team that can do that. I think there's a lot of efficiency gain we can get, but also a lot of like actual throughput and growth that we can get from it. And we have now a team that's literally, just listening to what CSMs are doing and trying to build agents for them from QBRs to preparation to replying to email, just anything we can do to automate and leave people to do like more strategic work.
So first of all, so much in there. As a SaaS CEO, does this scare the hell out of you? The fact that you are thinking this way, like, how do I really reduce my software spend?
I think that's reality. Right. It's coming. The best thing I can do is like Darwin said, to adapt and make sure that we keep on adding value and keep building like next gen products. Yeah. And I don't know if we're entering a world where everyone can type ChatGPT and have like their own like stack of software. Not sure. Right. Maybe to some extent. But no, actually not. Get me excited. Yeah. Maybe that's a psychotic entrepreneur in me, but it gets me.
You need some of that, I think.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly, yes.
The other side in go-to-market, as a CEO, people are pitching you 24/7 different softwares and things you need to run your business better. And imagine on the other side of the table, brands are getting the same thing all the time from other things. Like in a world where everyone could pitch you 1 million times a day with AI and agents, it's like, what breaks through? Like, what do you think is going to break through?
It's a great question. And in general, again, I will go back to authenticity. I think that's unique. I think brand and in general distribution, right? So if you play it out and you think, okay, now we're going to have like gazillion softwares and gazillion agents. So whoever wins, usually the one that owns distribution. This is why even when you look at today, the first cycle, who's winning? Like again, the big tech, right? Because they have the distribution. Yeah. So it's really hard to compete with distribution. And that's one way to think about it. And again, I don't know, for me, I don't know how it's going to play out. Right, of course. I'm just going to try to, make sure that Yotpo is again a company that can lead, that can take like bold moves, get some of them right, and keep on evolving.
Yeah. It's interesting. You mentioned about go-to-market and how you're building custom tools and listening to the team. Like, what is an example of a part of go-to-market that you think can be completely rethought? What's the part, like you mentioned in the beginning of the interview, like there's some areas where
yes,
it's this, right? It's not this.
Yes. So basically you're asking which part do you think will completely change in go-to-market. So I think, right, the first is support. We see that, like support, like the entire notion of like opening a ticket, then replying with a set of rules that is limited. Right. I think it's very like LLM problem to solve. Definitely for us, I can tell you like a content creation in terms of like videos and all of our creative, like we have an amazing design studio that's doing like really top of the art work. I think, we took down the cost by 10x and like production time by 5x. That's completely changing. Definitely outbound will change in terms of like sales motion. Some of, the demos, and you have like I'm now one of our team recommended me, I started using like Granola for note taking and like summaries and stuff like that. It's like really helpful. And I think like the entire sales stack is about to really be disrupted.
Right. Yeah, it kind of feels like to me, and if you think about this in terms of software in the last 5-6 years, the sales stack got really complicated.
Endless amount of solutions. Yeah. And therefore why Salesforce, like the actual Salesforce of companies, it was so complicated. Yes. So I think I want to see how Salesforce can really change. I actually have a friend has like a startup that's supposed to do exactly that, simplifies your own Salesforce architecture because it became too complex. So I don't know. definitely going to be an interesting one. I do think that the B2B sales stack is going to go through like a disruption.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked about a lot of different topics from culture, strategy, product, go-to-market, but the company is made up of people,
Yes.
right? And people who are, as you pointed out, like are used to doing things a certain way. And that's how they were trained for years and years, sometimes decades. How do you judge how well you're doing changing people's habits? Because at the end of the day, just like yours, like, are we going to predict that ChatGPT is going to win? Well, will people change their habits from Google to ChatGPT? I'll tell you if they're going to win. And same as inside your company.
Yeah, so I'll try to answer that in multiple ways. So first, I don't think people usually are like underestimate user behavior, like time to change, right? So when you think about like, right, beginning of 2000, everyone talking about e-com, right? We are like, what, 25 years later, e-com is still not 20%. Self-driving cars, right? If you remember like 7-8 years ago, everyone thought now like no one is going to drive a car anymore. It takes time.
Right.
So I don't think like, right, people like overestimate short-term trends and underestimate long-term trends. So definitely AI will be the biggest change of our life. I do think it's going to take time.
Right.
I think in Yotpo, how we're judging, it's a great question. I don't know if we're doing a good job out of it. We gave like some clear OKRs and KPIs to different teams. And we changed some incentive models. We gave constraints on budget that you don't have a choice but to use that because you can't hit your
That's
numbers.
one change.
Exactly. You can't hit your numbers otherwise. And just like starting to be like an expectation. And I think, right, eventually culture, it's like, it's a brick by brick. And when you start celebrating and you start like, you see more people next to you start to use that and you feel behind, that's where you get motivation. I'm also a big believer to let just people experience with their own hands. Like take a day off, take 2 days off and go play with something. And not like a software that uses AI, like go build something. Like I think the barrier of building at least a prototype today is nothing.
Right.
So at least play with the technology. I think that's where a lot of people get their aha moment. And I think that's what needs to happen.
Yeah. I mean, do you have places within Yotpo day-to-day, month-to-month that people can share their kind of aha moment? Or how do you spark that?
Yeah, so we try in Slack channels, in our weekly all hands, between teams, to celebrate it as much as possible for other people to see. But yes, definitely like the share of knowledge is an important.
What's been one of your exciting ones that you've seen? You're like, wow, I can't believe someone did that. Or
yes, so one of the cool stuff I've seen, I'll give like 2 different examples. One, our finance team, the FP&A team, actually built like something to show like for budget owners how to work with the budget and how to get the data and all the information to really speed up your entire like a plan versus actual. But I think it's going to save like tons of time. That's like really, really cool. I think another thing is we have like a solution engineer that sees like I want to call him like a solo entrepreneur that's building his own, but he also like basically built like a lot of things on top of Slack, from feature requests to the basically listening to calls and automatically driving feature requests and passing it to product.
I'm sure the product manager doesn't love that. Like, just kidding.
But actually, product wants to get like the voice of the customer, so that's actually great. I think another example is definitely, again, I would say content and video creation, just like unbelievable. Like today, if you do ads, if you do content marketing, if you're not like 80-90% AI, you're probably like behind.
What's the video?
So it's multiple models. I don't think there's like one. But they're combining multiple models with some after, but together it just like speeds up dramatically.
I would love to transition the conversation a little bit to like the use case and like what the next generation is doing. You told me such an interesting story about your son.
Yes.
Just to watch, what do they do on their own? Kind of like when they're inspired or not thinking about any expectations. Tell me the story.
Yeah. So again, I have like a almost 9-year-old son that a few months ago, he came to me and basically told me, Dad, I want Nike shoes. And I told him, there's no way you're getting Nike shoes. You're getting shoes. And he said, no, I want Nike. I said, no, you're getting shoes. And he said, no, I'm afraid I have Nike. I said, okay, let's do like an entrepreneurial moment. So I told him, let's, I don't know, build anything you want. and let's open a Shopify store and let's sell it. And so it's called like itaicoolstuff.com. And he wrote a book, he made like some arts and craft. And then we came up to set up the store, and he had like the laptop with like the Shopify onboarding. And I opened another laptop with ChatGPT to help him with like product description and like headlines to give him ideas. And it was insane because he didn't type a letter. His entire interface was voice. He was dictating the entire thing. Like he literally set up a Shopify store without pressing a letter. And I told him, like, why are you not typing? Type. No. And why I need to type?
It's too old. You're too old, Dad.
Yes, exactly. And so I think voice is definitely an interface that's going to be like really, really, really important because it's much more intuitive. When you think about like, I don't want to type to you. I want to just talk to you.
Yeah.
And I think with now languages, barriers being over. So voice, I think, is one thing that's going to be really, really, really big. And I also think that, again, like where consumers are going to buy, again, from LLMs to TikTok shops, to marketplaces, to storefronts, to retail. Like it's like...
It's going to get more complicated.
Yes, more complicated, more omnichannel.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating because there's a lot of people predicting the opposite, which means like, we're all going to buy this one new way.
Yeah.
Which seems...
Yeah, I remember like 10 years ago, right? I said retail is dying. Retail is dying. It's not.
Still waiting.
Yes, still waiting because it's fun to go to the store and buy stuff, and it's convenient, and many people are
Maybe we'll have Mark Zuckerberg's glasses or something.
So I played with the Meta. Like it's uber cool, but it's again like I love the fact that he's taking such a massive bet, unrealized category that not sure if it's going to be a flop or not. But I don't know. I saw that, at least for me, the experience was a bit underwhelming at the beginning.
I mean, you've covered just like a lot of ground with Yotpo and the changes and you coming back and kind of founder mode. Yeah. There are a lot of other CEOs and leaders that are doing the same thing. Like, where do you feel like if you were to give them advice?
Advice. I'm not sure how many advices, but in general, one is like, don't give up. Like it's tough. Changes are tough. And everyone thought, right, when interest rate was 0, everything was easier. Now every business from cyber to fintech, any company is having like a tougher time. Unless you're like one of those AI high flyers, and then good for you. But for the rest of us, I think it's like, it's tougher.
It's tougher than you think.
Yeah, tougher than you think. Hang in there. Always come with like first-hand principles, and I don't know, don't be afraid of changing. You actually don't have a lot to lose. Even when you think you have a lot to lose, you don't, because reality is going to be reality. The change is going to happen. Markets are going to be markets.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good place to end up. I really appreciate you coming here.
This was great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Inviting me here into Yotpo headquarters. Thank you again, Tom.
Thank you. This was great.